What if I told you there's a massive threat to crypto that you've probably never even considered, one that you couldn't protect yourself from even if you wanted to, and this problem goes way back. See, the ability to keep records and write stuff down is probably the most important invention in human history. But when you're no longer storing stuff up here, you have a problem. How do you conceal important information? This led to what we now call cryptography. A war has been brewing for centuries between code makers and code breakers. Today, this war takes place digitally, and is being fought on our smart devices and computers every day, and the same technology helps keep cryptocurrencies safe. As the years went on and the battle raged, history was beginning to show a clear winner: the cryptographers. They thought that they had won the war for good, that encryption was this ultimate shield, an impenetrable defense, but a new threat was emerging, one that can beat conventional codes in a second and can destroy cryptocurrency as we know it. So how did we get here? Throughout history, cryptography and code breaking has been playing this perpetual game of cat and mouse. The earliest known example comes from Herodotus. Then we had substitution codes during the Roman Empire, and several centuries later there was Enigma code, which was later cracked by Alan Turing. In fact, every code eventually seemed to get cracked. That is until the 1970s, when cryptographers discovered public key cryptography. Public key cryptography made it possible to communicate privately with anyone in the world, even if you've never exchanged data before, in the blink of an eye. Whether you're sending a Zelle payment to pay back your friend or sending a drunk text to your ex-girlfriend, modern encryption enables us to send data that can be secured in just milliseconds. If I asked you to figure out which two numbers multiply to give 851, you'd probably have a pretty hard time figuring out the answer without a calculator, but you could eventually figure it out. But what if I make the number larger, like say... Then there's no calculator on Earth that can solve it. The way it works is with something called integer factorization, and it's what the smartphone or the laptop that you're watching this video on is using right now to keep your data secure. It's the basis of modern encryption. So after the 70s, the cryptographers started getting a bit cocky, thinking that they'd won the code race once and for all. That is until some pesky 20th century physicists showed up to the party, giving cryptographers a nuggie on the way in before revealing the laws of the universe. See, cryptographers thought that you could only make one guess to solve a code at a time. They were wrong. And isn't that always the way life seems to go? Just when you think you've got everything figured out, a bunch of physicists barge in, mess up your new haircut, and reveal the fundamental laws of the universe are completely different to what you thought. It really just screws up your weekend plans. So what is the technology that could pose a major threat to our crypto and basically everything we do online? That would be quantum computing. The quantum world just doesn't play by the same rules we all know and love, the classical laws of physics. The quantum world stayed hidden from us throughout most of history, but as soon as it was discovered, this arms race began to see who could build the first quantum computer. The thing is, a true quantum computer is jacked. It would make today's fastest supercomputer look useless in comparison. In very specific applications, a quantum computer would have a hard time running VR chat. Quantum computers could theoretically run large-scale simulations, enabling us to solve our planet's biggest problems like climate change or finding cures for diseases. But as Uncle Ben once said,
"Remember, with great power comes great responsibility."
These computers could have the ability to break all modern encryption systems in seconds. Now, this means anyone with a quantum computer holds the master key to unlocking anything they so desire in the digital world. They could steal money from banks, control economies, power off hospitals, launch nukes, or just sit back and watch you pick your nose through your webcam without any of us knowing that it's even happening, and yes, even steal your Bitcoin. So how real is this threat? We'll cover that in a second, because first we need to understand how exactly it works. Computers use binary numbers, zeros and ones, to process information. So when you're texting your mom from across the world, you're really just sending her a combination of zeros and ones. These bits bounce around and transmit our data for us at a rapid pace. Everything we do is indebted to bits, but again, the quantum world works differently. Here's an example. So let's say we have a coin. Heads is 0, tails is 1, and the coin is a conventional computer. The classical computer flips bits, which means the larger the calculation, the more bits you need. Computers use these bits to display sound, video, cat NFTs, even your digital GF. Now suppose this coin is a quantum computer. When the coin is spinning, we don't know whether it's heads or tails, right? In quantum physics, this is known as superposition. If you've ever heard of Schrodinger's cat, it's kind of like that. A cat in a box, is it dead, is it alive? It's kind of both. So a quantum computer can be thought of as non-binary, existing on a spectrum. Now, because this quantum computer can be both 0 and 1 at the same time, it's an ungodly multitasker. Not great as in professional StarCraft 2 player level great, but more like a computer program trying to solve a maze 1,000 times simultaneously. This is basically like if you were trying to open a lock and you had 10,000 10 different shaped keys. A conventional computer would try one key out at a time. A quantum computer could test out all 10,000 keys on the door at the exact same time, and then in the next second generate 10,000 more keys. Now you can see where anything built on the assumption that computers can only do one thing at a time is in extreme jeopardy. Now from here, I recommend checking out the link in the description for iTrust. With iTrust Capital, you can actually place your crypto in a Roth retirement account. What that means is you can buy, sell, and trade to your heart's content and pay no capital gains on your wins. This is amazing for traders. This is probably the most simple way to save on all capital gains. iTrust will be linked in the description, and if you use that link to open an account, you'll receive $100 in Bitcoin for free just for joining. You can see here this random difficult password would take a conventional computer 8.7 billion years to crack, where the right quantum computer could have it done before lunch. Now, quantum computers already exist, but they're unstable and they can't yet crack into your Dogecoin. But the fact that they're a thing, even on an elementary level, means cryptographers have to step it up. So what do we do? Build a quantum-proof crypto? Is that even possible? Or would it be the end of crypto as we know it? For that, I looked back in history at Y2K. Companies around the world invested millions of dollars to fix what they believed was a software bug that could end the world as they knew it.
There still exists a general state of either denial, complacency, or even apathy about both the reality and the potential effects of Y2K.
Survivalists stockpiled food and everyone waited to see what would shut down when the clock struck midnight in the new millennium.
Many flights have been canceled.
Elevators may stop. Heat may vanish. Credit cards and ATMs may cease to function.
It was all because they thought computer systems at the time weren't able to display the year 2000. Startups and bug fixes started to emerge everywhere. Even old CDs advertised themselves as Y2K proof. Some were terrified, others couldn't care less. And what happened? Well, some errors did occur. An electronic sign showed the year 1900, some taxi meters malfunctioned. There were a few other minor inconveniences, but the actual fear was largely overstated. So is this quantum computing threat something we should really worry about, or is it just another repeat of Y2K? On the one hand, the technology isn't strong enough yet, but on the other hand, based on how Bitcoin works, this would be bad. Really bad. In Bitcoin, every transaction is given a cryptographic key. If you can crack that key, that Bitcoin is yours. So how far is technology away from making this possible? Luckily, the University of Sussex did the math for me. On the Bitcoin network, a quantum computer would have 10 minutes to crack the transaction in most instances. In order for this to be possible, the computer would need to have 1.9 billion qubits. To put this in perspective, IBM's quantum computer has just 127 qubits. That means the current state-of-the-art quantum computers need to get 15 million times larger to reliably crack Bitcoin. So the question remains, how long until that day arrives? Well, some think that within 10 years, quantum computers will be a big threat to our society. Things like encrypted emails will be way out the window far before Bitcoin sees major threats, though. Others think that'll be much longer than a decade, that the level of computing and engineering required to million-x current computers is basically unimaginable given the current state, that even if it's possible, we're lifetimes away. The good news is, whether it's even possible or not to build a quantum computer this powerful, is that we'll get a heads up before it's a major issue. And with that, there'll be more time to work on codes that are unbreakable even by quantum computers. It's referred to as post-quantum cryptography. And this is important because whether the tech is 5, 10, or 200 years away, we know it's theoretically possible, and 37% of the Bitcoin supply would be immediately at risk, not to mention the entire banking industry. So let me ask you, in the comments section, do you see the glass half empty, half full, or do you see both at the same time? From here, I recommend checking out this video that covers one of the craziest crypto stories of all time. It is a must watch. And that's going to do it for today. I'm Max Maher, and I hope you have a profitable day.